major asset she listed in her financial disclosure is this winery. What does a Somali know about wineryism? Okay, that was in 2023. That was worth, according to Ilhan Omar's own financial disclosure form, between $15,000 and $50,000. But on her financial affidavit from a year later, that same winery was listed at a value of between $1 and $5 million. Just real quick. Why does a Muslim own an alcohol company? I thought that wasn't a thing in Islam. Anyway, it gets weirder. Up until yesterday, Benny Johnson was able to find their supposed inventory bottles and all the things they had, their office location, and a bunch of other information on the business. But as of today, those sites are totally shut down, and any mention of their website has been wiped off the internet. I'm talking gone. The Wayback Machine, all these other crafty little archive sites, everything is gone.
Fox News alert, Ilhan Omar under investigation after racking up millions while she was in Congress. Senior national correspondent Kevin Corke has it. What's up, Kevin?
Good to see you, my friend. What's the old saying? Follow the money? Well, that's precisely what the House Oversight Committee is doing. They are probing squad member Ilhan Omar's skyrocketing family wealth, Jesse, especially in the wake of that $9 billion, some would argue $19 billion, Somali social services fraud scandal that exploded in her district in Minnesota. The Oversight Chair, James Comer, says his team's lawyers are exploring the extraordinary step of subpoenaing Omar's spouse over his curious business practices. Republicans want to know how the Somali-born Omar and her politically connected husband Tim Minette went from being nearly broke to being worth around $30 million in just a year, according to her 2024 disclosure form. Quoting Comer now, there are a lot of questions as to how her husband accumulated so much wealth over the past 2 years. It's not possible. It's not. And he's a money guy. Minette and his partner, Will Haler, back in 2022, formed an investment firm, Jesse, named Rose Lake Capital. They had $42 in their bank account at the time, but in a year, up to $25 million, according to Omar's filing. By the way, he also has a wine business that went from next to nothing to millions on its books. Not surprisingly, associates were so perplexed about the irregularities, they brought information and attention to the feds to, look into it. Now, for her part, the Congresswoman has repeatedly, and I say defiantly, denied any wrongdoing while being also careful to criticize the ongoing probe. But, sometimes they say, Jesse, the ones who yell the loudest have the most to hide.
Well, innocent until proven guilty. I'm sure everything was perfectly legal. We're just checking to find.
I'm sure everything.
So yeah, that's the first video I have for you guys that kind of a little bit more deep dive into the situation. But what do you think about that?
I just know it's frauds. My real question is, these valuations, are they coming from investors, private investors putting money into their companies with the belief of the company going to do well later? Because that could be the possibility. But these investors have no reason to believe that the companies are going to do better. There's no history of the company excelling. There's no history of year after year increase in revenue or profit. It's actually a decrease in profit and decrease in revenue. So as an investor myself, am I going to invest millions of dollars into a company that is showing decreases in revenue and profits? No, never.
No, you never would.
So it makes me wonder who these investors are, where they are located, and where did they get their money from? Yeah,
exactly. Because it's definitely something might be shady going on with the investors as well.
Sounds like she's getting some kickbacks from all this illegal money that's going on in Minnesota is what it would sound like to me.
I think she is. I really think she is getting some kickbacks from that.
I think what we're going to find out is that those companies are partially Somali owned now.
You say partially Somali owned?
Yeah, and not just her part. Also the investors.
And if you bring up the investors, I do have a document on the investors actually for the winery business. It says Minette and his business partner, Will Haler, have been accused in lawsuits of defrauding an investor in connection with this California wine business. The lawsuits allege that investors were promised high returns that were never fulfilled, although Minette has characterized the matter as a contract dispute. So you can see, even with the winery, the investors are not happy with the return.
Well, that's because he's probably the only real investor who was hoping to get money back and not some sort of kickback or political play. So he's
Right.
the only doofus that fell for the scheme.
Right,
He
right,
wasn't
right.
involved in the scheme.
Right, exactly.
So he's suing him.
So yeah, so that's very strange. So you're a point on investors, yet investors are not happy.
No. No.
They think they're getting defrauded in this situation. Now, Ilhan Omar, she has a response to the whole entire situation. She actually made a video on it. I'm going to read you guys what she said. This is a quote from Ilhan Omar. She says, the value range listed for the assets reflect the full cost assessment of the business in which my husband is one of several partners and does not reflect his individual share. Omar wrote in the caption accompanying her TikTok video, adding in the video, learn to read before you post misleading stuff.
Well, if she said it on TikTok, it must be true.
Now, the only weird thing about that is if you look at the House Ethics Committee's financial disclosure guidance for members when they report their income, it states that members are instructed to report their or their spouse's ownership interest in a privately held business actively engaged in trade or business rather than the value of the business itself. So she's saying that what she put reflects the full cost of the business, but the instructions state that you should report the ownership of your spouse's interest in the business.
And she has a team of lawyers representing her and handling all this paperwork, all this disclosure. She has a lawyer specifically for disclosure guidance.
Yeah, exactly.
That lawyer knew what he was doing.
So why is she posting the full, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, we could say, oh, maybe she's trying to make herself look richer than she is. Maybe she's trying to she's the Somali queen. She's really had a big come up. Maybe she's doing that. But her lawyer would never allow that.
Yeah, her lawyer wouldn't allow that.
No.
Unless she filled it out by herself, but I highly doubt she filled it out
She doesn't
by
do
herself.
anything by herself.
Now, this article further states, coupled with an estimate of her government pension, Omar's latest financial disclosure shows assets and liabilities that place her net worth between roughly $40,000 and $115,000, excluding the valuation she reported for her husband's business. Those business valuations, $5 million to $25 million for Rose Lake Capital and $1 million to $5 million for a winery, reflect the company's total reported value. Now, her husband's ownership stake, according to Omar,
Which goes against the reporting guidelines.
right. And Manette's stake in Rose Lake Capital is less than 1/3 of the company. The New York Post reported, citing a company spokesperson. So this still come from the company.
Okay, so let's just say he does own a third of it.
Right.
It still went from a couple $1,000s to tens of millions.
Which is very suspicious for the wine industry because I recently researched that the wine industry really is not doing that well right now. It hasn't done that well right now for a couple of years when it comes to increasing in value. So a lot of wine businesses on increasing value like that.
I mean, I know just from being a wine drinker that there's many companies who no longer even use cork anymore because it hurts their overall profit margin.
Yeah, it's nothing that's definitely not a business you get into where you're going to see a mass increase in a year when it comes to valuation.
No.
Now, it also says Omar, Manette, and a spokesman for the capital declined to explain the valuation. So they're declining to even explain what's going on. And what public information there is doesn't provide many answers. The income Omar disclosed from those businesses does little to support such high valuations. Rose Lake Capital reported no income in 2024 after reporting $15,000 to $50,000 a prior year, while the winery reported income of up to $50,000 in 2024.
So $100,000 of total reported income or revenue, and the companies are somehow worth tens of millions of dollars.
Right. Very strange. Very strange. And it gets even weird because Benny Johnson, he did a little research on it, and he was trying to put together a compilation of research on the winery. And somehow the next day, everything on the internet pertaining to the winery, including the winery's website, was pulled off the internet.
Well, another thing that could be going on is maybe they hyperinflated the valuations on their net worth so they could get larger loans, so they get larger loans for houses or for loans for investments or whatever the case. But in that case, it's tax fraud.
Yeah, that's tax fraud.
So like, no matter how you look at it, this is not legit.
Right, exactly.
It's impossible for this to be legit.
It is impossible. So this is a video I have of Benny Johnson trying to investigate this, and everything gets pulled off the internet all of a sudden. This is funny.
Another major asset she listed in her financial disclosure is this winery. What does a Somali know about wineryism? Okay, that was in 2023. That was worth, according to Ilhan Omar's own financial disclosure form, between $15,000 and $50,000. But on her financial affidavit from a year later, that same winery was listed at a value of between $1 and $5 million. Just real quick. Why does a Muslim own an alcohol company? I thought that wasn't a thing in Islam. Anyway, it gets weirder. Up until yesterday, Benny Johnson was able to find their supposed inventory bottles and all the things they had, their office location, and a bunch of other information on the business. But as of today, those sites are totally shut down, and any mention of their website has been wiped off the internet. I'm talking gone. The Wayback Machine, all these other crafty little archive sites, everything is gone. Deleted the root service. I called my computer buddy Jim. He couldn't even find it with some fancy AR jargon bot machine for recovery. I don't even know, he was explaining it to me. He couldn't even find it, which is weird that a company that boasted an award-winning wine, the quote double gold winner in 2022 San Fran Chronicle competition, with a corporate value of up to $5 million, would just vanish into thin air. They didn't
How are you going to sell
it?
your wine without a website?
Is it possible for this to be a functioning business and have absolutely no footprint, wiped from the internet, go from 1,000 net worth to 5 million in less than a year?
Well, no other winery on earth's done that, Carl. Anybody who knows anything about this knows that the wine industry is under enormous pressure. Wineries, there's people pulling up vineyards and closing wineries, including some very well-known ones. People are drinking less wine. The economy is weighed on that in favor of cheaper alcohol options. So the wine industry has been in mad contraction for quite some time now. But more to the point, you have to have a federal license to have an alcohol facility. Where is her winery on the TTB website? That's the federal regulatory body that does this. So no, this doesn't
she's not
exist.
even allowed to be
And
making alcohol?
It's a phantasm that the idea you can have a winery increase in value. Everybody else in the wine business knows better.
Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't. She's not even really allowed to even be doing it because she's not on the website.
Why isn't the ATF kicking the doors in?
Exactly. Very suspicious.
The ATF should already be there.
Yeah, they
You're
should.
making alcohol and you don't have a license to do it.
We couldn't do it.
No.
They'd be kicked out.
No. People where I'm from make moonshine, and they see that fire up on the mountain, and the police cars start coming.
Yeah, definitely.
The ATF is all up that ass.
Yeah, I don't know how she. Well, I know how she gets away with it, the position she has, but yeah, they should be kicking the door down.
That is.
Now, the final thing I have on this topic is it's very suspicious too, because her husband used to own a consulting firm. Now, the consulting firm he owned it during the period where she was running for the campaign that she was running on. And so it states here, it's called East Street Group consulting firm. It says Omar's husband, Tim Minette, and entrepreneur Will Hare, so that's the same business partner, received more than $3.7 million in campaign spending over the course of the 2023 election cycle.
$3.7 million in consulting fees?
Yeah. So what happened was Omar's campaign contributed $3.7 million to her own husband's.
Oh, this is Washington campaign funds.
Right. It's Washington campaign funds. Consulting firm. And so pretty much what she was doing is she was taking the money and just looping it back around to her so she could spend at her leisure. Because, campaign money is just a lot of donation money, Wow. But you only can spend campaign money on certain things that are related to the campaign.
Spend it on consulting.
Right. Exactly. But funny thing is, this ended up where people were kind of catching on to this, and she severed ties with the consulting firm, so she no longer works with the consulting firm.
Oh,
but
she severed ties with her husband's consulting.
Right. After wiring $3.7 million to herself.
This is insane.
But yeah, that's what I want to show you guys. That's a very interesting topic on the fraud that's going on with Ilhan Omar's camp. It's very interesting.
That's wild, man. We know, everybody knows what's going on. Everybody knows what's happening. Anybody who receives this information and listens to it can piece it together. This isn't some in-depth 3D puzzle. This is your basic 5-year-old 10-piece puzzle.
Yeah, this is something.
The square block fits in the square hole. It's really simple.
I know. That's why she should be in handcuffs by now. I mean, it's just crazy. It's so easy to piece it together.
What would you prefer? Would you prefer her in handcuffs, or would you just prefer we send her back broke to Somalia? Seize all her assets and send her back to Somalia, or seize her assets and put her in prison?
I would like to see her in prison, then send back to Somalia.
Yeah. I'm kind of...
Yeah, it's funny you brought it up because I was reading something today, and well, actually, no, that was last night, and it was a court case with one of the Somali fraudsters, and he went in front of the judge, and he was begging the judge to send him back to Somalia, and the judge was like, "No, you're gonna do prison here, and then we're gonna send you back."
Oh, because he's already sent so much money back that he'd be living like a king when he gets there.
Exactly. He said, "No, you're gonna do prison here."
So she's probably done the same thing. She's buffered herself. She has a fallback plan.
Yeah, so that's why I say punish her here first, and then send her back years later.
I wonder if she would make it out of prison here.
I don't know. Well, they would put her in federal prison,
And she'd have protective
which is
custody.
nothing like state prison. So
She'd have specific protective custody, too.
yeah, she probably would. Would. But I still would like to see her go after all she done.
Yeah, I was of the position that I'd rather just see her go back to Somalia, but I hadn't considered that she's probably already built herself some kind of landing pad there.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely, because they were wiring a lot of that money to Somalia. So
Wiring it to Somalia, you saw all the reports about them flying millions of dollars in duffel bags back.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
she's probably insulated,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
heavily insulated.
Definitely.
Let's see
Right,
here.
so what you got for us?
Next topic of the day, guys.